Welcome to EPG Pathshala. This module will discuss photochemical smoke and classical smoke or London smoke. The smoke, which is made of two words, smoke plus fog, is basically an urban phenomenon, and this is one of the worst pollution phenomena. There are two kinds of smoke, London or classical smoke and photochemical smoke or Los Angeles smoke. London smoke is basically because of coal combustion, release of sulfur dioxide, fog, low temperature and smoke. The photochemical smoke is basically due to the large number of automobiles that ply in the cities, release of hydrocarbons, carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides and the formation of ozone in presence of sunlight. We will discuss the chemistry of both of these in this module. The discovery of classical smoke or London smoke is as interesting as the chemistry of its formation. Peter Brimblecombe, an authority on environmental science and environmental chemistry, he was till recently the editor of celebrated journal Atmospheric Environment. In his book on the London smoke, has recounted the history. The city of London has the history of largest number of coal stoves. The coal was the basic fuel which was needed for burning, for all kinds of energy production. It produced foul air, and the atmosphere was also foggy at that time in winter. The burning of the coal in London began in 13th century, you can see, about 700 years ago. And at that time the coal was being burnt there. Consequently, the city was engulfed by foul black smoke. Whole London was surrounded by this coal smoke. Since the coal was the only source of energy, mounds of coal were seen everywhere, streets, alleys or docks. Coal combustion was thought to be the cause of phenomenon of air pollution possibly. Moses, in as early as 1135, 204, credited with the providing one of the earliest recorded description of the classical smoke. He described the air to be stagnant, turbid, thick, misty and foggy because of the height of the buildings, the narrowness of the street and all that pours forth from inhabitants and their superfluities. Later in 14th century, air in London became so polluted, King Edward I banned the burning of coal whenever English Parliament was in session. Another scientist, John Evelyn, has described vividly the severity of the urban air pollution problem. He was engaged by King Charles II to examine the London's air quality and its effect on public health. His report described the smoke to be the horrid, obstructed the church and made the palace to look old, fouled the clothes, corrupted the water, and rain that precipitated was black, quality was tenacious and contaminated. The children suffered the most. Remember, look here, air was so bad that nearly half of the children that were born in London died within 2 years. Their life was very small, less than 2 years. He was emphatic in concluding that the problem was primarily urban and rural areas remained unaffected. He suggested the coal tar and other combustion products were responsible for the swift death. This is another point. Actually, there were chimneys in the homes, palaces, and these chimneys were used to belch out the smoke. And as we have the sweepers here who sweep the floors, there were sweeps who used to clean the chimneys. And the sweeps were, the deaths of sweeps occurred frequently. During 15th century, blackening of city's sky and foggy weather was a regular feature. The kind of smoke was not limited to London only, but was a recurrent feature of many cities of the world. Remember, these are the cities: Beijing, Mexico, Shanghai, Calcutta, Mumbai and Delhi, they all suffer from fog. Chimneys of zinc smelter with so much toxic sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide and metal dust, etc. At this place, Pennsylvania, in October 26, 1948, a smoke similar to London smoke appeared in the city also. The smoke continued for 5 days, resulting in 7,000 deaths and thousands suffering from respiratory diseases. Another thing, Beijing in China woke up to the first ever red alert for smoke on December 8, 2015. The air pollution was at its worst. The extent of the severity of the smoke can be guessed from the eyewitness account of Professor P.V. Hobb. Professor P.V. Hobb is a well-known author. He has written several good books on atmospheric chemistry. He wrote that when he was a boy in London in 1950s, smoke was often so thick that visibility was restricted to few feet and buses had to be guided by the pedestrian. Actually, the pedestrian told the bus driver that you should go like this and the way is clear. According to Peter Pibelcom, disastrous smoke struck in December 1952. The sun remained unseen. Days became smirky, shadows, nights. Residents suffered huge health toll and 4,703 people died within a week. It is known as a Great Smoke of 52 or Big Smoke. So that's why the name is given to this classical smoke, London smoke. Now, who were responsible for the formation of this smoke? The culprits identified were more than 1 million chimneys were the culprit. They were releasing smoke because of the combustion of coal. These were dirty coal and belched continuously an endless stream of copious black smoke, sulfur dioxide and other pollutants. Remember the sulfur dioxide and smoke. The air was, the meteorological condition is also important in the formation of smoke. The atmosphere has to be cool and still. That is, wind speed must be low. It must be cool. And under these conditions, the fog is formed. So there must be dense fog. These meteorological conditions did not allow the dispersal of pollutants, which remained confined to the city. Since these were heavier, these fell down to the ground and reduced the visibility. This disastrous situation continued for about a week. This classical smoke occurs when there is sulfur dioxide, there is smoke, there are other pollutants, and most important, there must be the atmosphere must be cool and there must be dense fog. Another thing, the wind speed must be low. It must be stable. The air almost not moving. Then the pollutants which are there, they will not be allowed to move out from the city. They will remain confined. And this leads to a disastrous situation. December 5, 1952, that is the history of that particular day when the London smoke or classical smoke struck. December 5, 1952, had a clear sky in the London city. Wind speed was low, air near the ground was moist. That will lead to the formation of fog. These conditions were suitable for the fog formation. When the moist air descended, came down, it touched the cold ground, water vapors cooled to dew point, and condensation occurred and dense fog formed. There was temperature inversion of 100 to 100 meter, means above 100 meter height, the temperature was higher than at the lower level. So this inversion acted as a lid. This did not allow the dispersion of the upward distribution of the pollutants. In the atmosphere below the inversion point for more than 1 billion chimneys emitted the smoke along with sulfur dioxide, smoke particles, fluorine compounds, carbon dioxide, SO2, and SO2 changed into sulfuric acid by chemical reaction. Now, what was the reason? Whereas the government failed to recognize the reason for smoke. What was the reason for smoke? The government could not come to a conclusion. But public could see that the real reason for smoke formation first and blamed the burning of dirty coal as the reason for the grim catastrophic situation. But the government was in dilemma. The government of the day was on its grim economic reality under the garb of arguments that an enormous number of broad economic consideration has to be taken into account. If they stop the combustion of coal, what would happen to coal mines? From where the energy will come, the industry will suffer, there will be less taxes for the government. It tried to scuttle the issue by permitting the issuance of smoke masks and appointing a committee. Ultimately, in 1954, the committee came out with a recommendation. And in 1956, a new law came into the force which mandated reduction in coal burning. So this was done to control the formation of classical smoke. Now, I discussed the chemistry of London smoke. The basic features of smoke formation are as follows. Fuel combustion. when the combustion of fuel takes place, this is basically carbonaceous made of carbon, the carbon is oxidized to CO2. Or any other hydrocarbons present, for example, methane, for example, in CNG, they are oxidized to CO2 and water. This happens when the complete combustion takes place. Okay? But sometimes there is not enough oxygen, then this carbon monoxide is formed and released, which is toxic. The same thing happens with methane also or other hydrocarbons. If oxygen is less than required, in complete combustion and CO is released. When oxygen is much less, very small amount of oxygen, then what happens? Combustion takes place and carbon solid in the form of smoke is released. So this explains the formation of huge amount of smoke in classical smoke. Under the conditions of relatively low oxygen and low temperature, the pyrolysis of fuels may occur leading to the formation of decomposition products. In organic chemistry, the pyrolysis means heating something in absence of oxygen. And when in absence of oxygen, something is heated, then that thing decomposes into parts, 2 molecules, 3 molecules, or maybe more. So pyrolysis takes place. Subsequently, the arrangement of atoms may eventually form toxic polycyclic aromatic compounds, PAH, benzopyrene, naphthalene, like that. Coal contains sulfur, this much, and this sulfur is also undergoes oxidation when combustion of coal takes place to form sulfur dioxide. So SO2 is released. This coal also contains sulfides, metal sulfides. For example, iron sulfide. If this is present, this will be oxidized to give you this and iron oxides. Sulfur dioxide will dissolve in water because the atmosphere is humid. There is fog. In fog water and humid atmosphere it will dissolve to form H2SO3s, sulfurous acid. And this will dissociate to give you, this dissociation takes place, this kind of thing. Oxygen dissolves in water drops governed by Henry's law. Okay, so in water you have sulfur dioxide dissolved in the form of bisulfite ion, oxygen dissolved in the form of O2 aqueous, and the reaction between these two occurs in form water, and sulfate ion is formed or hydrogen ion. The H2SO4 is formed. Since H2SO4 is a strong acid, it is shown as fully dissociated. Sulfuric acid, due to its high absorption capacity for water, it absorbs water, helps the droplets to grow, and consequently the fog becomes thick, and visibility is further reduced. In sum, the necessary ingredients and the conditions for development of classical smoke are as follows: primary pollutants, sulfur dioxide, soot particles; secondary pollutants, H2SO4, sulfate aerosols; radiation temperature inversion; high relative humidity and usually foggy; low temperature. Air pollution is the maximum in the early morning, because at that time the temperature is lowest and the wind speed is also lowest. So the pollutants are not able to disperse. The adverse effects are like this: it causes respiratory diseases, breathing problems, coughing and puffing are most commonly found. These have those who have pre-existing effects and respiratory problems are highly susceptible to adverse effects. The elderly are in general worst sufferers. The sulfur dioxide is a known irritant, and the presence of soot particles has a synergistic effect in accentuating harmful smoke effects. The tar, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, and many other inorganic organic compounds are potentially toxic and have serious harmful effects. How to prevent London smoke? The simplest situation is to ban the use of coal, because it is a combustion as a source of energy in urban areas. It is very difficult to do than say there must be a cost-effective alternative source of energy to replace coal. If you want that coal should not be burned, sulfur dioxide should not be released, soot should not be released, smoke should not be released, then there must be alternative source of energy in place of carbon. On the other hand, the burning of fossil fuels like gasoline in place of coal can create atmospheric pollution problems of photochemical smoke. If you use this gasoline in place of coal, then it is responsible for another pollution phenomenon, that is also smoke, that is photochemical smoke. The second smoke is photochemical smoke or Los Angeles smoke, because it was first discovered in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is a well-known city of USA because there is Hollywood. The photochemical smoke is a form of air pollution that is caused by the reaction of sunlight with other pollutants such as hydrocarbons, nitrogen oxides and other meteorological conditions. So basically, it is a photochemical phenomenon which is helped by meteorological situations. Photochemical smoke is characterized by haze, ozone formation, eye irritation and damage to vegetation. It may be seen as brown haze over the skylines of metros, megacities and near factories. The photos of Beijing shrouded in a veil of thick smoke are common. They can be found on the internet. What is the history of the discovery of this? The initial signs of photochemical smoke started appearing in 1940s. The classical smoke appeared much earlier. The photochemical smoke started in 1940s. During World War II, there was massive wartime migration to Los Angeles. Lakhs of people shifted to Los Angeles. It became a very large city, and it was also the largest car market in the US. There was tremendous industrial activity, huge influx of cars, more than 1 million cars plied in the city at that time. Diesel buses have also started in 1940. Automobiles and the industries spewed the smoke, readily smoke, belched the smoke, released the smoke continuously. The city started witnessing the smaller bouts of smoke, smaller incidences of fog, the photochemical smoke. However, the disastrous big smoke, that is biggest photochemical smoke, occurred on July 26, 1943. Remember, it occurred in July 26, 1943. It was the wartime of World War II, and the people of Los Angeles said that Japanese have bombed our city. Later on, it was found that attackers were not Japanese outsiders, but their own vehicles and factories. After the first attack in 1943, Southern California Gas Company's plant, which manufactured butadiene, an ingredient in synthetic rubber, was held responsible for the source of thick cloud without any experimental evidence. The government said that this factory is responsible. The factory was temporarily shut down, but it has no effect. There was no improvement in air pollution and smoke. By 1950s, scientists identified that the cars that Californians loved to be real culprit. The fumes that were cars spewed were a real reason for the smoke problem. So ultimately, it was discovered that it was not the factory, but the cars that released huge amount of emissions. This is a scientist, Harry Smith, a chemist at the California Institute of Technology, solved the smoke mystery. He identified ozone to be the main source of haze. The partially unwanted exhaust from automobiles and hydrocarbons in sunlight reacted to form ozone. Interestingly, the public so enamored of cars at that first did not believe it, because people love to have car and they did not want that something should happen to car, and they are deprived of flying cars. Ultimately, the scientific evidence became so overwhelming and strong that the people had to believe in, and government has to believe, in 1950s and 1960s, parts of the Los Angeles witnessed thick smoke up to 200 days a year. You can imagine. If there is a thick smoke, there is a photochemical smoke, 200 days out of 365 days in a year. This was something shocking. Because of this brown and orange haze, the mountains around Los Angeles were hardly visible. Now, how it is formed? The primary precursors which are primarily responsible for it are NOx, NON, NO2 and volatile organic compounds. At the high temperature, N2 and O2 combine to form NO. This reaction is important only when the temperature is high, not at low temperature. In addition, there are natural sources of nitrogen oxides also, just lightning, microbial process, etc. But this most important is due to combustion. The secondary precursors, they are the ozone, PAN, peroxyacetyl nitrate, organics, acids and aerosols. What happens? The basic reaction is this. The photodissociation of nitrogen dioxide by this light occurs and ground state oxygen atom is formed. This oxygen atom reacts with oxygen to form ozone. This is photochemical reaction and this is thermal reaction. This does not need any radiation. Ozone that is formed oxidizes NO to NO2. On the basis of these chemical reactions, 15, this 13, 14, 15, that is ozone concentration is equal to J, the rate constant for the first reaction. This is a factor or this is dependent on the intensity of radiation, NO2 concentration, rate constant K3 of this reaction and concentration of NO. Basically, O3's concentration is proportional to NO2 upon NO. This is an important point. The reaction 13 and 15 cannot explain the observed high ozone concentration in smoke. Therefore, to account for high concentration in smoke, there must be a big source of NO2 because it must increase and this must decrease. How it happens? The BOCs were found to be involved in oxidizing NO into NO2 and to raise this ratio and increase the concentration of ozone. Now, this is the figure which shows the diurnal variation. Diurnal variation is known as the variation during daytime from morning to night. This is morning, this evening, how the concentration of various species vary. This is NO. In the morning it is high. As the day increases, solar intensity increases, its concentration decreases, more of NO2 is formed. These are non-methane hydrocarbons. They are released by automobiles. They convert into aldehydes and this is the oxidate ozone is formed. What is most important, when ozone is high, these are their NO and NO2 are small. It means they are being oxidized. This oxidizing there. Photodissociation of ozone generates singlet oxygen, this over D. This reacts with water to form OH, hydroxyl radical, most important radical, very reactive radical, and source of removal of most of the pollutants from the atmosphere. This reacts with hydrocarbon, this RS, for example, methane. This removes OH reacts by removing a hydrogen atom. So H2O and this is R is a radical. This radical reacts with oxygen to form RO2. This is the key reaction in BOC, volatile organic compound oxidation cycle, converts NO into NO2 because, as pointed out earlier, ozone concentration, which is the most important oxidant for photochemical smoke, depends upon this ratio. If NO2 is high and NO is less, then more of ozone will be formed. So BOC converts NO into NO2 and raises the ratio NO2 upon NO. This is the pathway. And olefin for unsaturated hydrocarbon. For example, 2-butene reacts like this with OH radical. It adds, forms a radical. Then O2 adds, then this compound. This compound is reacted with NO. NO is oxidized, NO2, and you find aldehyde and alcohol. So aldehydes are formed, they are irritant. They are formed and they are toxic. This is an example of reaction with a formaldehyde. Another pollutant, carbon monoxide, is generated by partial oxidation of carbon. Because automobiles, the petrol or diesel undergoes combustion and carbon monoxide is also released. This carbon monoxide reacts with OH radicals to form hydrogen atom and hydrogen atom reacts with O2 to form HO2 and this HO2 oxidizes NO into NO2. How the ozone concentration changes? The spatial and temporal variation of ozone is shown in figure 1, where the change in concentrations of volatile organic compounds, ozone, NO and NO2 is also shown, and their interrelationship, interdependence on one each other can be easily seen there from figure 1. Now, the most toxic substance that is present in photochemical smoke is peroxyacetyl nitrate, or this is known as PAN. This is the general formula of PAN. R can be another radical also, not necessarily CH3, it can be another radical also. Look at the structure here. This is carbon group and this is peroxide linkage and this is nitrite. How PAN is formed? Look here. Starting with alkene, propene, this it is formed. First aldehyde is formed. In this case also aldehyde is formed, and then aldehyde reacts with OH radical to form CH3CO. CH3CO reacts with O2 to form this, and then NO2 reacts with this compound. This is PAN. Likewise, from acetone, the formation of PAN from acetone can also be shown. The metallurgical and topological factors in photochemical smoke formation, these are densely populated area, high traffic density and congestion. Congestion means the wind speed must be low. Everything that is released in the atmosphere remains confined there. Sunny weather, there must be light. If there is no light, there will be no photochemical reaction. Cool and low wind speed, stagnant and stable meteorological conditions, they will lead to the formation of fog and temperature inversion. If at certain height of 100 or 200 meters, the temperature starts rising instead of decreasing, then that will act as a lead and will not allow the dispersion of the pollutants. So, in addition to chemistry, the topography, the metallurgical conditions of definite kind are required for the formation of photochemical smoke. These are the control measures. NOx must be reduced by using catalytic converters. VOCs must be reduced. Reduction in solvent evaporation. Exhaust emissions. Stringent legal limits on emission of NOx, carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide in smoke must be there if one wants to control photochemical smoke. Harmful effect. The photochemical smoke, this is most dangerous effect on vegetation. The constituents of photochemical smoke, NOx, ozone and PAN, harm plants by reducing photosynthesis. Human health contributes to damage to lungs and heart and disease resistant to infection. VOCs cause eye irritation, respiratory disease. Some VOCs are carcinogenic. PAN causes eye irritation and activate respiratory problems. Ozone induces coughing, wheezing, eye irritation, asthma and other respiratory problems. In this module on classical and photochemical smoke, you learnt about the formation of both smokes, their history and chemistry. Classical smoke is basically due to the combustion of coal, release of sulfur dioxide, low temperature, formation of smoke, cool and low temperature, these are the conditions required. The photochemical smoke is formed due to the release of NOx, hydrocarbons and carbon monoxide by vehicles. The necessary other gradients are, it must have, temperature must be low, but there must be sunlight for photochemical reactions to occur, and one of the most dangerous compounds that is formed in photochemical smoke is PAN, peroxyacetyl nitrate. It is very toxic to plants and humans. And another important and most toxic substance that photochemical smoke is formed is ozone. Ozone is an oxidant and it is harmful to human health and many other things. Thank you.